Yeah, baby. Nice new intro, huh? That was created by, my son-in-law Kenzie and my grandson Logan. Kenzie's on the guitar, Logan's on the piano. They put that together and sent it to me as a birthday present, and I love it. By the way, pay attention to the outro as well. So, hello, you BFODers. Welcome back to Barrel Full of Daryl, episode 43. Music, movies, and some funky ass shit just for you. Hope you're enjoying the show. Thanks for being a constant listener. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. Name that movie, right? Okay, let's talk about music. You ever heard of the band The Rolling Stones? Surely you have. They were formed in London in 1962, active for over 6 decades. Yeah, I just saw on my doom scrolling that they had a tour planned for next year, but not sure it's going to happen. Something with Keith Richards. So it's composed of the vocalist Mick Jagger, guitarist Keith Richards, bassist Bill Wyman, and drummer Charlie Watts. And one time they had a member, Brian Jones. But Jagger and Richards together became the band's primary songwriting and creative force. Rooted in blues music and early rock and roll, they were a part of the British invasion in 1964. If you don't know what that is, it's when British bands started making a big splash in the old US of A. They were competitive to the Beatles, and they dressed in mod hip clothing instead of suits, as the Beatles had done. Now, throughout their career, they released 31 studio albums, 39 live albums, 52 video albums, 77 music videos, 123 singles, and 14 box sets. Good Lord. What a catalog. They hit it big in the late 60s with their albums Beggar's Banquet, Let It Bleed, and Sticky Fingers. But the album I want to discuss with you today was released in 1972, titled Exile on Main Street, their 10th studio album. It's a double album, and it's known for its wide stylistic range and strong influences of Delta blues, gospel music, and country rock. Upon release, it was originally met with mixed reviews, but it's now recognized as a pivotal rock album and the Stones' best work, as well as one of the greatest albums of all time. Now, at the time, the band had no money to pay their taxes to the UK, so they left the UK and they moved to the south of France. So they were tax exiles, thus the name of the album. Now, the songs on this album are all over the place, but the lyrics, they have themes of sexuality and hedonism, as well as with most of the band's music. Now, Keith Richards rented a villa with a basement, which is where the majority of the songs were written and recorded. And for like the first month, the band worked through most of the night when they started this writing and recording. But eventually things slowed down due to Keith Richards' daily use of heroin. It's reported that thousands of pounds worth of heroin flowed through the villa each week. pounds being a monetary unit. Small segue here. Have you seen the memes about Keith Richards and his surprising longevity? Like the meme that shows baby photos of famous rock stars, and at the bottom right's a photo of Keith, present day. Then there's the one of him teaching Willie Nelson how to play guitar when Willie was a baby, and one of him taking a photo of the pyramids while they're being built. It's quite funny. Yeah, we've lost many health advocates, but Keith is still out there rocking and rolling. Now, this album gave them two major hits, Tumbling Dice and Happy. Now, Happy was written and recorded by Keith Richards. It's one of my favorite songs by the Stones, along with Can't You Hear Me Knocking from the album Sticky Fingers. Such a great song. Now, the song Tumbling Dice was an international top 10 hit and gave the album nearly instant commercial success. Now, Richard Gere of the Rolling Stone magazine compares the music on this album to outlaw music with a strong influence from music from the southern USA, such as soul and gospel. Now, aside from these two hit songs, these are my favorite songs on the album. Rip This Joint, Casino Boogie, Born and Frayed, and Turd on the Run. I love the name of that title, that song, Turd on the Run. I admit that my least favorite songs are the ones with Mick Jagger adopting a southern USA accent, like the song Sweet Virginia. Now, I know that's the point because it's a country song, but damn. Now, regardless, I urge you to give this whole album a listen. You'll hear hard rock, gospel church songs, and everything in between. Now, in my opinion, this is the Stones' best album. It's just a teeny bit better than their album titled Some Girls. By the way, give that album a listen as well. As usual, I've dropped a few songs on the playlist. I hope you enjoy. Oh, by the way, last week Keith Richards turned 82 years old on December 18th. Same birthday as mine. Keep on rocking, Keith. Good Lord. And now a message from our sponsor. I'll be right back. Howdy to the listeners from the podcast Barrel Villadero. My name's Randall Snooch, and I am the on-scene correspondent for WMOO TV out of Monroeville, Alabama. I just wanted to let you know that I am here covering the Scratch Ankle annual Christmas parade and flea market. Now, this is always a fun event, especially when all of the tractor and lawnmower drivers get liquored up. Hell, last year they all started racing each other, just like it was in a NASCAR. And poor old Tina Mae Tuberville was the parade queen, and she got a broken leg and a concussion when she got flipped off the back of Ernest T. Bass's tractor and run over by Ricky Ray's lawnmower. Thank God the blade wasn't turning. Yeah, it's also a treat to visit the flea market for some last minute gifts and some boiled peanuts and hooch. I hope they have the barbecue squirrel legs like last year. So if you're in the local area, come on by and have some scratch ankle fun. Otherwise, you may want to take a special trip here next Christmas. We hope to meet you soon. Bye. And we're back. Movie. How about A Christmas Story? What a classic. I'm really hoping all of my dear listeners have watched this classic comedy film. And hell, here in the USA, the station TBS, they play it repeatedly for full 24 hours, starting on Christmas Eve and ending on Christmas evening. And it was always, when my kids were little, it was always a tradition to have this movie playing in the background when they were opening their presents on Christmas morning. It truly is a holiday classic. Now, the setting for this film is northern Indiana in the late 1930s. Cold, lots of snow. The movie was released in 1983 and directed by Bob Clark. It's funny that previously Bob Clark had released a slasher film called Black Christmas, 1974, kind of the antithesis of a Christmas Story. Now, here's something you may not know. It's based on several short stories from the book In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash, written by a gentleman named Gene Shepard. When I stumbled across this factoid, I bought the book and read the short stories, which are semi-autobiographical. And Gene Shepard narrates this movie, and he appeared in a cameo shot. Now, the actors in this movie could not have been better cast. Melinda Dillon played the sweet mom and housewife. Darren McGavin as the grumpy dad, or the old man. And Peter Billingsley as the young boy, Ralphie, who's obsessed with getting a Red Ryder BB gun, specifically a Red Ryder carbine action 200 shot range model air rifle. And when he mentions this to the mall Santa, as well as his teacher and other people, the response is always, "You'll shoot your eye out, kid." It's funny, on Christmas Day, after receiving the BB gun, he loads it up and he goes into the backyard for some target shooting. But one of his shots ricochets, hitting an icicle hanging on the eave, which falls and hits Ralphie in the face, breaking his glasses. And all Ralphie can think is, "Oh no, I've shot my eye out." But all is well. His mom brings him back inside and tends to the minor wound near his eye. There are so many great scenes throughout this film that document the misadventures that Ralphie endures with his little brother Randy. Like when the mom is bundling up Randy to walk to school with a heavy jacket, scarf, beanie hat, and gloves. The scene shows Randy's arms sticking straight out, and he's saying, "I can't put my arms down." Mom pulls his arms down, and they spring right back up. So the mom says, "Oh well, just be careful." Later on, Randy ends up in the snow on his back, flailing around because he can't get up. And then there's the scene with the major award that the dad receives after winning a newspaper contest. It gets delivered in a large wooden crate labeled Fragile. The old man, he looks at it. He says, "Look, fragile. It must be Italian." Great line. Inside the crate is a table lamp in the shape of a woman's leg wearing a fishnet stocking. The dad thinks it's great and sets it up in the living room window. The mom is appalled by it, but Ralphie is smitten by it. Keeps staring at it and rubbing the leg. And then there's the scene at school where their friend Flick has been triple dog dared to stick his tongue to the frozen flagpole. Well, he goes ahead and does it, and he gets stuck and has to stay there while all the other kids run inside and sit down in class. The teacher starts looking for Flick. Has anybody seen Flick? Where's Flick? But everybody's just sitting dead quiet. So she looks out the window and she sees Flick stuck to the flagpole, and she calls the fire department, and Flick gets rescued. And probably the best scene in the movie is when Ralphie is helping his dad change a tire on the side of the road. The dad placed all the lug nuts into the hubcap, which Ralphie knocks over, and all the lug nuts go flying off into the night. So Ralphie's just shocked, and he mutters, "Oh, fudge." But he didn't say fudge. That's right. And he got in big trouble with that. Got his mouth washed out with soap. It's classic. Now, I'm hoping you've seen this movie at least a dozen times. If not, it's streaming on Hulu. And again, it will be on TBS television 24 hours straight. Watch it. Love it. Okay. Word of the week. Fenestration. Fenestration. Now, this is the arrangement, proportioning, and design of windows and doors in a building. Now, defenestration is the act of throwing someone out of a window. Apparently, this happened often in like medieval days. Fenestration. Defenestration. Joke of the week. There's a conference being held on paranormal activities. There's a large lecture room full of people. Now, Professor Spector is speaking to them and asks, "How many of you have made spiritual contact with a ghost? Say in a seance." And about half the audience raised their hand. Then he asks, "How many of you have seen a ghost?" And about 20 people raised their hands. Then he asked, "How many of you have had sex with a ghost?" One old man all the way in the back was the only one that raised his hand. So the professor said, "Excellent," and asked the old man to come up to the lectern. And when the old man finally makes it up to the stage, the professor asked him to talk about his experience having sex with a ghost. The old man looks around for a minute and said, "Oh, I thought you said goat." Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, how do you catch a unique rabbit? Unique up on him. Okay. Question of the week. And from last week, we had the question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, it's the egg by a long shot. Eggs existed for millions of years before chickens evolved, laid by dinosaurs and reptiles. Now, the first true chicken was hatched from an egg by a bird, not quite a chicken, just almost a chicken. And then when the egg hatched, we had the first chicken. By the way, another question for you. If eggs are 12 cents per dozen, how much do 100 eggs cost? Now think about that for a minute. It's funny, I've asked that question to numerous people, especially engineers, and they think and think and think, and I think one of the answers was, about $200. Yeah, right. I'm not going to give you the answer. You can come up with it. New question of the week. Do animals have feelings? Also, do animals have emotions? Now, by the way, feelings are internal and emotions are external. Okay, a thought for the week. If you put hot liquid into a thermos, it stays hot. If you put cold liquid into a thermos, it stays cold. How does it know? Don't forget about the BFOD playlist out there everywhere. You can hear all the, you can hear songs from the artist and albums I discuss. Very long list. Logan asked me the other day if I'm going to start a new playlist for season 2, and I've been thinking about that. Probably be the best thing to do if I make it to season 2. Again, you may contact me by clicking on the send me a text button in the episodes or directly at bfodpodcast@gmail.com. And since it's Christmas time and you're all in the Christmas spirit, don't forget that you can contribute to my show. A couple of dollars a month, that's all it takes. There's a feature there in the episode where you just click and do it. If you do, I appreciate it. If you don't, I still appreciate it. So that's it for this week's episode. Again, I want to thank you all for listening and tuning in and downloading and all that stuff. I'm very happy to be doing it, and I'm happy to have you as my audience. And I hope you were entertained this week. Talk to you again soon. Bye.